how are you?
Hi, Angela. I'm good, thank you.
That's good. Thank you for joining me for our second interview series, or a second interview of the series, I should say. Now, we recently got feedback from the check-in survey, and your unit has been one of the units that students have really enjoyed. In particular, they rated quite highly your teaching delivery and your online resources. And the second thing that they said was that they felt quite confident in passing your unit. And this is unusual because in a lot of our units, students don't feel confident in passing their units as well. Let me start with my first question. So I know that you've come to Swinburne in 2018, so you haven't been here that long, and you've been teaching web application developments to undergraduate students for a couple of years. But this year, for the first time, you're teaching it to postgraduate students.
Yes.
So can you tell me a little bit about the group of students that you're teaching with, just to start off with?
So it's a very nice group of students because they're mostly postgraduate students, so they're a bit more mature, I guess. And they also come from very different backgrounds, so they all have something to contribute. On the other side, it's a bit challenging because you cannot assume that they will all have the same knowledge and the same background when they come to you.
How big's your class, Andrea? How many students?
I'm actually very lucky because I have quite a small class, so we are 56 now, I think.
Right, 56 students, great. Yes. So Andrea, like I said, one of the things that they've rated quite highly is your teaching delivery and your online resources. Can you tell me a little bit about the way you deliver your unit to these students?
I use a lot of example-based learning, and based on those examples in the lecture, then you ask the students in the lab to either modify them or to create, or you give them new examples which are a bit different from what you teach in the lecture. And then you build up into these big problems that they have to solve during their project. So somehow the lectures, labs, and the projects and assignments are all connected with each other.
Fantastic. So I know that example-based teaching is quite common in computer science, and there's a bit of research in that space, isn't there?
Yes, it is, and I think it's because computer science can be quite abstract.
Yes.
And then you use computer science to solve real-world problems, so you need to make that gap between the abstract concepts and actually what's the real-world problem. And examples are an easier way to bridge that gap.
So the other thing that students commented on was they felt confident in passing your unit. So what are you doing that's giving them that confidence? You know, do you give them motivational speeches, or what do you think you're doing?
No, I think I'm totally opposite of that. I'm more demotivational than motivational. But I usually I try to engage them in a different way. So I went to the classroom when we move online. I asked them, "Oh, how do you feel I could help you, and how do you want me to teach you now? Like, what would you feel it would be useful?" And then, of course, not everybody will agree. So we created a doodle poll, and we go with the majority.
So what else? So you've got you ask them, you know, which way they would prefer to be taught. You've got your example delivery style, your delivery through use of examples. And what else are you doing?
We have weekly labs, weekly lab submissions. So they have to submit their lab weeklies, and then they receive feedback on those labs. And they receive personalized feedback in the sense that if they have a problem, they will actually receive feedback exactly to their problem. So it will be tailored to what problem you have, and this is the way you would fix it if you don't know how to go about it. And I think that helps because, first of all, it helps them keep up with their learning. So they wouldn't postpone not studying for this unit because they know that they have a deadline every week.
Right.
And they also receive feedback early, so you can catch up if somebody is failing or is struggling, and you can try to help them.
And what about, you know, everyone got their check-in survey feedback after it ran. What did you do with your feedback?
So I went back, I think we received this check-in survey feedback on Monday, my class is on Tuesday. So it was quite fresh. I just went to the class and I said, like, let's have a look over the feedback, and let's have a look over, especially over the qualitative comments that you have provided, because these are more insightful.
Is there anything you felt you've had to change with your teaching at all?
Yes, in my lecture teaching, I like to have a lot of discussions, and I like to have a lot of back and forth with the students, because I feel that enriches my interactions.
Yeah.
Now I feel like it's more the students are asking me questions rather than me asking them questions.
Oh, that's the best, because when they're asking questions, something's happening in here, which is
yes,
great.
they do engage, and I'm very lucky.
I think it's not just luck. I think you've created an environment that's making them want to ask questions, obviously feel comfortable with you and Andreea, and that they're not meant to feel awkward in asking questions. So I think you've created the right environment for them to do that.
Oh, I hope so.
All right. If you were to take one thing away from one thing away from this experience, what do you think that would be?
From teaching online?
Yeah.
Patience and a good support network, because sometimes you need it.
Yep.
And sometimes you need a lot of calm, because I think when you speak online, things might get out of context. People don't always have their first language, so things might get lost in translation.
Yeah.
And I think you have to be a bit more laid back and let it go.
Yeah. Fantastic. Andreea, thank you so much for joining me for this interview.
Thank you for having me.
I hope this is a good end to your day and you get to relax tonight or prepare for your next class tomorrow.
I think marking mostly tonight.
Relaxing, good, because you had a big day teaching today.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Really interested in hearing more about the example-based teaching. So if you've got a reference, would you mind if we share that with the rest of the computer science group? And then maybe outside of this interview too, we'll look at some of your top tips that you might give other academics as well.
Definitely.
Thank you, Andreea. Have a lovely night.
You too. Bye.
Bye.